guys? Can you hear me out there?
Maybe not. Need a way bigger computer. Okay, now talk.
Hello, crafty friends. Can you guys hear me? Hello, hello, hello.
There's a 20-second delay.
Hello, crafty friends. Can you guys hear me out there? Do I have sound? Ah, there's Alice. Hi, Alice. Hi, Sandy. Happy birthday, Maria. I would sing to you, but that would be no gift. Some people should never sing. I'm one of those. Hello, Dawn. Hello, Sandy. If I see Dawn, that probably means that Lisa and Laura are out there too. Hello, hello. Sign in, guys, so you can talk to me. Hello, hello, hello. Well, we are not going to be picture-in-picture today. It's very disappointing. Hello, Mary. Because for some reason, oh, why is her camera all red?
It's the monitor. All the other monitors are fine.
What?
The TV.
It's just a TV? It's bright red.
The other monitors are fine.
Okay. Is your screen all red, guys, or are you guys have a normal picture? You have a peachy glow.
Don't look at me.
Hello, Mary. Interesting. Technology is not being kind to us today. We are... hello, guys. Can you turn it off and back on it? Maybe it will reset. We're going to turn the camera off for a second and reset.
You're still live on your mic.
Okay, we are trying to get the camera to reset with actual colors. On your computer, you look less peachy than on my TV. I can hear you fine, okay? Technology is just not being kind to us today. We couldn't get the picture-in-picture to connect. And now we have this crazy peachy thing going on. If we have to, we'll just go with it, because what do, you know? We can still make cards. It just won't be as pretty. But let's see what happens. No, still peachy. Huh. These are so beautiful, though I hate to show them in peach. But we can do what we have to do. What time is it, honey?
3:04.
3:04.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's time to get going, so I guess we'll just have to go with it. You should have your kit in front of you. Let's take a... before we get that out, let me tell you what else I have here on my craft table, just because we need to potentially have some supplies available. We will have our scissors, our big scissors. I set out my little hobby craft scissors in case I needed to do any little repairs on the 3Ds. Sometimes you have to. I've got my glue bottle. I've got my easy tear tape. I have a cup of my glitter pens available. Those are not in your kit, but if you have alcohol markers or water-based markers or whatever, those are all good for coloring your shapes. If you don't have any of your markers handy now, you can always go in and color those later if you want to. So that's what we have going on. Let's take a look at our kit. Oh, I also set out a piece of copy paper. And I set this here so I would remember to say, when Lisa and I were talking recently, Lisa said she was disappointed because sometimes when she's working, she would get lines on her mirror board because both plates over time, both plates kind of end up getting used. We know that happens to the best of us. What you can do is cut yourself a piece of copy paper, and you can use that over the plate that's in the back, or over the plate where it's getting scratched, and that will help to keep your Mary from getting scratched up. So think about using some copy paper, just plain lightweight, super lightweight copy paper, and put that in your sandwich and see if that will help get rid of the little scratches, Lisa. So I thought that was probably a useful tip for everybody, so we will put that there. I didn't think of it when we were talking, and then later I was watching a different video and they were talking about it. I said to myself, of course I knew that. Why didn't I say that to Lisa? So there you go. When you're die cutting, have a piece of copy paper handy to protect your Mary. Okay, let's look at our kit. This is such a rich kit. Hey, our color's up.
I don't know.
Has everybody got good color now? I hope so. Hi, Betty. I hope everybody's got good color now. My TV that I look at while we're talking now has good color. So, yay. Just that peachy thing, that was not fun. Yay, good. Okay, let's look at our kit because we have so many cool things in our kit. I'm so excited about this one. We got our baker's twine. You got two different colors of brads. You got one kind of weathered one and one bright colored one. You've got this wonderful box of shapes. 45 pieces in your kit. Yay, us. You've got foam pads. We're going to need those right away. Of course, we got a lot of envelopes. We're going to set those aside. All of our cards for this kit, all 12 of these card blanks, are A6, European A6 size. We're going to need those, but not quite as quickly. We've got our background and die cutting papers. I'm going to set those aside for right now. We've got our wonderful Maritime fishing net. I love this die, and I love what this die does for these cards. I can see using this for lots of things. I mean, you could even use this like in garden scenes and stuff when you're, it's going to be great. So we've got our punch out sheets, which we're going to want right away. And we've got our background sheets. I'm so excited about these. I don't know if you guys are touching them for the first time, but I'm really excited about these background sheets. Not only do they have a beautiful, wonderful texture to them, they're much heavier. It's, you compare that copy paper I had a second ago to this. It's not cardstock, but it's really good weight. It's beautiful, and having two scenes on each sheet gives us lots and lots of versatility. So you should have 4 of those in total. This 2 of the sand, 2 of the sailboats, and then the water and all the maritime gear. So we'll set those aside just for the moment. And let's look at our punch out sheets. Let's start with some of that. We are going to need to layer up a few things to get started. Now, let me say that just a couple weeks ago when we were talking, I said, I don't hold out pieces from these sets and try and get extra versatility from them because they don't have all that many pieces to begin with. Well, on these, I actually found that I could slide out little pieces here and there for use in other areas. So if you haven't already constructed all of your 3D push-outs, I'll tell you which pieces as we go I slid out of there. If you did already put them all together, that's okay too. That's not a problem. We have plenty of other little accents to use. I used some little pieces out of this for accent too. Let's start. You know, one of my favorite cards in this kit is one of the simplest. I love this seagull, the brown seagull. I don't know what it is about him, but he just enchants me. I really like him. Now you can see at the top of this card, I've left plenty of room up here for a sentiment, but it's just so simple, and yet it's really eye-catching. So let's start with our seagull. Let's get our seagull punch-out sheet. I have no doubt that once you guys have completed these cards, you're going to find that you want to make more of some of these. And for your convenience, I have put up individual punch-out sheets, and I put up 3 packs of the background papers, and I've put up, let's see, I have everything available in the store except these. But I got new ones of these. They're just different than these. They're a little slightly bigger, absolutely okay. So I have just virtually everything you're going to need if you decide that you want to make more of these cards and just get some little pieces here and there to supplement what you've already got. So just so you know, and so I didn't forget to tell you, I actually put it under, and I have some other beach theme stuff too. I put it under themes and collections in the store. And then the subcategory for that is, it says beach, that's the first word, and it says beach, maritime, sea life. It's got all kinds of beachy themes. So go look at the categories on the left, go down towards the bottom, you'll see themes and collections, and then beach, maritime, sea life. Yep. And that's where you'll find these. I'm going to use all the pieces for all of the images that are seagulls in my layering. And then, and I used all the pieces in the animals for the layering bits. And then I'm going to, it's some of the other ones that I kind of stole little bits out of. And again, I'll show you when we get there which those were. So I'll just layer this up, and as you know, when we're layering, we're just using our foam squares, and we are going to start with our largest image and work towards the biggest one, or excuse me, the smallest one. You should have a nice fresh sheet of foam squares there. Okay. So, let's see. I'm going to work on my bird first. Now this bird is slightly bigger than this because he has a wing, so I'm going to use him next. So we've had beautiful weather all week, and today we have thunder showers here. So it's so pretty. It's been hot though. Personally, I'd rather have rain, but then that's why I live in Oregon. I don't deal well with the hot weather. Being a large woman, the heat really gets to me. So I prefer the rainy climate. But it's better than a lot of the countries where we've had flooding and other things. Not bad enough to deal with coronavirus. To have to deal with some of that at the same time is terrible. Lots of challenges this week, aren't there? Okay. Continuing to work on my bird and putting his head on. I thought about doing these in advance, and I thought to myself, that wouldn't be fair. If you guys are wanting to work along, if I've already constructed all these, I'm immediately going to sail ahead of you, and that wouldn't be very fair. So I decided to wait and do them with you. We're not going to try and do all 12 cards today, as we talked about, we'll make sure that we have, the weather changes getting to me too. Listen to my gravelly voice. We are going to have ample time to put together 3, maybe a little more, and then we will take some nice long shots of all the rest of them so that you can continue to work through and complete the rest of yours and have some samples. If you want the samples, you want to run free and, do your own thing, that's cool too. That's always cool with me. Except next week when we do barbecues. When we do barbecues next week, stay with me, guys. A barbecue class. This class today is pretty big. I'm not sure how many are. I guess we just showed 18 signed in, but I know how many kits we sent out. It was closer to 40. So we've got a lot of these kits out there, and we probably just have quite a few people who aren't signed in but are watching. Or maybe they're going to watch later. I don't know. But yeah, this kit was really popular. The barbecues were really popular too. Those have sold out this week, and we sat last night and cut another 20 kits because nobody should be left behind. Oh, we're supposed to mail that today. Oops. But barbecues are forthcoming. When we do the barbecues, that's probably the only, well, I can't say it'll be the only time I ever say work right with me, but stick with me and don't run ahead when we do the barbecues, because there's some little tricky things in the barbecues that will give you a hard time if you run ahead in that one. This is so cute. Look at this little bird. I like this little bird. Nothing says the ocean quite like seagulls. You're getting close to the ocean when you see the seagulls, don't you? Although there's so many different kinds of gulls, you see them everywhere. I was surprised when we were traveling cross country to see some inland gulls that didn't know there were. I guess they wouldn't be seagulls because they're not at the ocean, but gulls that live way inland. Okay, there's my build up. There's another big rumble of thunder there. We have a therapy pool, and Bryce was wanting to get in there this morning, and he he looked out, and it was rainy and thundering, and he said, nope, not going to go and get in the water in the thunderstorm. Pretty good idea, I must say. And so he waited, and then the weather turned beautiful. It was gorgeous outside, so he ran and put a suit on, and he ran outside, got in the pool, and then the thunder started again. Okay, this card is not lined or anything. All we're going to do is just cover our card with some of our beautiful background paper. So I am going to take this little strip off before I cover my card so I can see where the bottom of my card is. And I'll just cover my card as normal. Just like with Hunky Dory, these papers are A4s, so you conceivably could get 4 cards out of one background sheet using this paper and the European A6 cards that we use so much. It's pretty cool. Starting in 2 weeks, we're going to have a new live stream on Thursday nights, Thursday afternoon. To those of you who are close to me, we're going to start at 4 o'clock Pacific time. I know a lot of you have gone back to work, and you got to you've got to. You won't be available, early afternoon. So we're going to do it at 4 o'clock Pacific time. So it'll be 7 p.m. for those of you on the East Coast. and hopefully that will help. There's no such thing as finding one time that's going to be great for all time zones, but that seemed like a pretty good compromise to try and hit. If we're at 4 o'clock by then, at least some of you will be off, and those who are not off can always watch it later. The new one that we're going to do is going to focus around stamping. We're going to be doing, I'm going to call it Stamping 101. Now, those of you who have done stamping in the past, I don't think you'll be bored. I think you'll find the fellowship fun. You may even pick up a few little tips here and there, that maybe a few things that you didn't think of, but it's always fun to craft together. So those of you who would like to participate, I don't want anybody to feel overwhelmed about the idea of doing something that might be new for you. So we're going to start at a very basic level, but we're going to do some fun projects too. Our very first project in that is going to be using a stamp platform. I found some quite reasonable ones that are really fun. They're from Crafts2, and they are way more affordably priced than a lot of the stamp platforms are. And so I'm going to put together a bundle kit. I can't tell you the price of it right off because I haven't done my samples yet, so I need to see exactly what we need. The very first kit will be a little bit more expensive for those of you who decide to get the kit. I know some of you have stamp platforms already, so you may opt instead just to get the stamps we're using and skip past the intro kit because you might have inks and stamps already. But I'm going to bundle a stamp set from hot off the press called Layered Flowers, and the stamp platform, and some ink pads, and I think that will be our first kit. But I need to see. I need some feedback from you guys about whether you want me to include cards in that stamp class, or whether you would just prefer to use your own cards. There is some value to including them in that the designs, we'd all be working on the same size paper. Another thing I can think of is that if we include the cards, I could put in like hunky-dory ink me cards that are actually specifically made for the application of ink and for stamping stuff, so that you'll get maybe better stamped images. But I don't know. What do you guys think? You think I should put in the cards and stuff into the kits, or do you want to just run with what you've got? Or I don't know. I'm not even sure how many of you are going to be interested. I do know that those with whom I've spoken personally have expressed some interest, so I don't know if we'll be as big a group on Thursdays as this one, but I think it sounds like fun. So looking for some thoughts on that. This one is double wrapped. I thought to myself, what's the matter with me that I can't get in there? Well, that's because they put two layers of sealer on top. It's no wonder I couldn't get in. Yes, nice to see you out there, Miss Margie. Makes a difference if you don't use the right kind of paper. So if entry level, they may need paper. That's a good thought. Off? Was the sound off?
It might have.
Oh.
Should be back.
Okay. Hi, Kim R. Kim and Katie here. Hi, Katie. Welcome, welcome. We just kind of getting a nice slow start on things. We're working on the little seagull card, the brown one. I was saying that even though this is one of our simpler designs, it is just one of my favorites for some reason. I don't know. So I'm going to use this little scallopy design, and I'm going to use this other seashell here. I'm going to color mine with my glitter markers. If you don't have glitter markers, and most of you probably don't at this point since they're brand new, if you don't have glitter markers, think about using your alcohol markers, your water-based pens. If you decide to get some glitter markers, they run $3.29 in the store, or there's some new 3-packs of them that are like $8.99 for 3 colors. And I just colored that shell in strawberry bonbon, which seems really odd, but it works. Insert paper to match the colors in the kit. Are you recommending that we include insert papers in the kit, Betty? Is that what you're saying? If so, I could try. Not everything that we have has insert papers, but you know, as we start stamping, we could absolutely make our own. For this little scallopy shell, I'm glitter coloring it with a marker called Silver Mist. Now I know that I said that the theme of this kit is masculine, and we don't use a lot of glitter on masculine cards, but you know, I just couldn't resist putting just a little bit, I mean, come on, just a little bit of glitter on a masculine card seems like a way to go. But these little shapes here will just add one more layer of dimension and bring us around. Now I intentionally left this pretty open at the top. I left, oops, yeah, there it's going to come out. I left it open towards the top. On most of these designs, I left a space for you guys to add your own greeting on these cards, your own sentiment, because the kit makes so many. I didn't want to suppose for you that they would be Father's Day or birthday or, you know, what you might be making them for. You could really use nautical cards for almost any occasion, and they're not just for the guys. Women love nautical cards too, and beach cards. Who doesn't love the beach? I guess the people here probably do since you bought the beach kit, but isn't that pretty? Get that. We've got one done, guys. So, yeah, our pretty little seagull already. Okay, let's do another one. I think we should switch it up. I told you that I would show you which designs I stole something from. Here's an example of where I stole a piece. See this layered design here? It's the one with the porthole and the post and the anchor and I stole one layer of that and I used it on this card because it was just the right size for what I wanted here. See that? So I stole just one layer off of that. Maybe we should go ahead and do both of these. I think both these cards are great. Why don't we do both of these? I promised Katie that we would talk about paper tearing, so that would also give us an opportunity to talk about paper tearing techniques if we do this one next. So let's get our punch out sheet that has the porthole. Okay. Let's see. There's the porthole, here it is. This one's on SB 10168. For those of you who tuned in later, you may benefit from knowing that we put some of these punch-out sheets, background sheets, and stuff in a folder in a store. It's under themes and occasions. It's towards the bottom with all those categories on the left. Go down to themes and occasions. A lot of you might not know that we have some things, some items segregated there by the different kinds of themes. I have a folder there for masculine. You probably saw that when we did the, I think I put it in What's New Wednesday recently. And I'm sure some of you saw it because we sold a lot of stuff out of that category recently. And then we also,
Don says they're still working on the seagull.
oh, that's fine. No worries. You guys continue, and I'll stall for a minute here. Which is really no problem because I talk too much. While you guys are finishing up the seagull, let's talk about schedules here a little bit. I did say that we're going to do the new Thursday class. That doesn't mean we're going to do away with Saturdays. I love this group. I feel like you guys have all become my crafting buddies, and I like this Saturday time frame. It seems to work good for quite a lot of people. So we're going to continue with this group. And the difference between the two is one's going to be kind of stamp oriented. Doesn't mean stamping is all we're going to do. In the stamp class, I see us branching out and doing things like creating our own background papers and doing, let's see, background papers, some specific stamping techniques like masking and that kind of thing. I think we might want to try and do some landscapes, which are really, really fun for stamping. You can just do so much landscape stamping. I can just see that we're going to try a variety of different kinds of stamping techniques, but we're going to create background papers and that kind of thing also. So there's going to be some fun stuff we do there. Where the Saturday class, I think we're going to kind of continue to be very kit oriented on the Saturday class, and that's how I'm going to kind of do the two a little differently. One thing I think that will be great with the Thursday class, once again, I'm always kind of worrying about you guys and your budgets, and I don't want to overwhelm the household budgets, but I also felt like by starting a stamp class, we'll have kits available for those of you who already have a lot of stamping supplies. You can take a look at what's in the kit, and you can either buy it as a kit or then I'll list the individual kit components so you can just get what you're going to need to do the class, which I think will help with the household budget issues. That was my thought there anyway. So I don't have samples for you yet for the 2 weeks out. Oops, I just knocked the butterfly off my card. Let me see if he'll stick right back on. He won't, so I'm gonna have to best glue ever him. He was on here with regular glue. Next week we do the barbecue grill. The following week we're going to do some Midnight Butterflies cards. This is called Midnight Butterfly Blooms. This is going to be one of the cards. The first one is a specialty card here. This one really reminds me of Beauty and the Beast. And see it just freestanding. It's beautiful. So this is a specialty card we'll do. This one is beautiful. We'll bring in the acetate butterflies into this one. This one, you guys always like it when we do these. We have a shaker card filled with ultra tiny little butterflies. When I get up here, you can see the size of the butterflies without hopefully getting so close that it gets blurry for you. Can you see all the little butterflies in there? So we've got believe in your beauty and let yourself fly. Wishing you lots of luck. So we've got tiny little butterflies in that shaker card, and then this one that I just broke and I'll fix is, and then a 5x5 card that it's very simple, but I think it's charming. It just turned out really pretty. So you have a kit of 4 cards for this class, and this is going to be $15 for this kit with everything included. So that's coming up after next week's barbecues. That's what's coming up the following week. I'm still working on the die cut circles, squares, and ovals. That's going to be the 3 weeks following that, because we're actually breaking that into a 3-week class so you guys can get all of the dies and still not spend an awful lot of money. So, yay! Oh, embossing powder, Mary. Perfect. Yeah, that's another thing. Of course, we'll want to do embossing in our stamping class too. So many fun things. Okay, how you guys doing, Lisa, Laura, and Dawn? You guys ready? Let's go ahead and start constructing this one. Now, see this piece right here? This is the one I said I stole. We're going to use that on the next card. I'm just going to use these 3 layers. It just like me to tell you, just like, what, 2-3 weeks ago, that I didn't, that I always, I think I used the word always. I always use all the pieces of these because they just don't give you that many to begin with. I should never use the word always because I never always do anything. Oops, that's kind of a weird sentence, isn't it? I never always do anything. It's not really double negative, it's just kind of a complete opposites. I never always do anything. Okay, so when you're trying to decide what pieces punch out, flip these over and look at the back, and you can see where they're taking things out. Because we're not trying to get extra cards from these, you know, you'll want to punch out all the areas that they're suggesting. Oh, I see another one. This is a little tiny one in the I may or may not take it out. It's a little, oh, I guess I got it. Little tiny one in the compass. Well, we gotta be careful taking that dude out because there's just so little paper around it. Don't want to tear it. Mine doesn't want to come out very easy. There it goes. There it goes. Which probably tells me this is going to want to pop out too. Yes, it does. Okay, well, I'll get in there and get it. Starting to open things up a little bit in Oregon. You're still recommending small groups, and I endorse that wholeheartedly. I want you guys to stay safe out there, but I do know that Lisa, Laura, and Dawn are having a little watch party today. So that's fun. So popping out the extras here. Stay safe out there, guys. It's not over yet. I heard it described that we're in the, I hope it's not true that we're in the 2nd of 9 innings, but it does sound like this whole coronavirus stuff could go on for a little while, so please be careful. I love you guys and want you safe. Okay. Put my little foam squares on the pack of my pieces here. You don't need a ton of foam squares, especially for small, lightweight pieces like these, but you do want enough to kind of hold down each general area. These cards that have a lightweight 3D images like these. This is pineapple upside down cake cocktails. Oh my gosh. That does sound pretty interesting. These pieces that have the lightweight 3D images, this is a really good place to think about using card bags. Those clear cellophane bags that you can put over your cards to keep them fresh and nice. If you make all these up, you don't want the layers catching on one another, getting bent up, pulling off. So it's a good job for a card bag to think about keeping especially your 3D images. But actually, I said with these lighter weight ones, it's a good thing with your hunky-dory ones too. Even though they're heavier weight and they're, you know, a little bit more durable than most. Yet those card layers can still get caught up on each other in your card box, and you don't want to go to all this work and then have them torn up. And those bags will add, I'm not sure what the cost per bag is, but I can't imagine it's more than about maybe 5 cents to the cost of your project, and it keeps it fresh and nice. And the bags are big enough. They're big enough that you can slide your envelope right in there too. And that's one of the things I enjoy. I make so many cards that I don't want to spend time when I'm going to grab a card for something, because invariably I'm doing it at the very last minute. And I don't want to spend time looking for the right size envelope, so I can store my envelopes with my cards. So think about card bags. You can find those in Hunky Dory. You can find them. There's a category, I think it's under envelopes, cards and envelopes under the Hunky Dory category. And then we have other brand ones, and you can find those. I think they're called, can you look, honey? I think it's called clear bags and categories of the store. Could you look and see where those are located? I think it's under paper crafting A to J, and then I think they might be called clear bags. They're either there or they're with cards and envelopes. How's everybody doing? You getting these okay? I know, I keep asking you questions when you got your hands full of paper. Or other things, as in the case of our friends here in Tigard. Okay. I knew the barbecue grills were going to be really popular because it's our second most popular class here on site. But you guys surprised me with the barbecue grills, because we had people buying 3 and 4 of them. So I thought we made a lot of them to begin with, but we had to jump in, Margie and I, and get our Cricut machines rolling along and work together and kick out another 20 kits recently, because, okay, got my 3D put together, but I might work a little faster than some of you, so I'm going to cool my jets here for a second. And
Look, can't find the category
okay,
on the bag.
all right, that is okay. Well, Bryce just searched it, and the clear bags came up, but there's another way you can do this. You can go, these are the categories I'm talking about. I think you can see that on camera, and you probably can't read it, but you can see what I'm talking about. You have categories down the left. If it doesn't come up on your phone, hit the little triple bars at the top, and then the categories will come up. And under Hunky Dory, I will go to, right here, it says cards and envelopes under Hunky Dory, and then right underneath it, it says clear envelopes, card boxes, and domes. But we have some that are less expensive on a per piece basis. If you want the less expensive ones, you just go to paper craft. Oh, I gotta get out of Hunky Dory. Let's see. How do I close that up here? Okay, under paper crafting A to J, and then I'm going to go down, and I have card easels, card layers, card makers, cards and envelopes. Let's look under cards and envelopes, and that's not where it was. Clear bags. Maybe I put them all in Hunky Dory. Card full cards. Clear bags. I'll link you to them in the newsletter. How's that? I'll link you to them. That's the way to do it. So watch for your newsletter and I'll put them in there. Okay, how you doing, guys? Ready? Let's go. We're going to cover a card, this time with our nautical paper. So I'll dig out a sheet of that. Don't you guys love these background papers? I totally love these. Okay, just to make my life easier, I'm going to cut this right along the line. I probably should do this with my paper cutter, but I'm just going to cut it right there. And as we said, you should be able to get four of these A6 cards. Now, anytime you're trying to match side by side, you may have a little trimming to do just to get everything to fit just right, but you still pretty much have enough of this to make 4 cards out of every one of these sheets. That's remarkable to me. Okay, peel my tape. You guys all know this, but for anybody who may be hanging out watching, the tape I'm using is called finger lift tape, and I prefer this to tape runners. I do like my finger lift tape. I am not successful with tape runners. I invariably jam it and end up taking it apart and trying to use the little roll. But when I use my finger lift tape, I can just roll it off the roll, use it, lift my little cover papers, and I am good to go. And it goes so far and it's so inexpensive. I don't know if you guys can see it. I have just the tiniest, just ultra tiny, I probably wouldn't even have to worry about a tiny line at the bottom. So I'm just going to trim that off with my trimmer. If you got a really good trimmer, you can trim even the tiniest little things off without worrying about ruining your card. With my trimmer, look at this. That's a sign of a good trimmer right there. I'm using the Caterpillar Pro. Caterpillar Crop, that's what it's called. Caterpillar Crop. Okay, now for our next card, I want you to get that we've got our top here, we've got our wood shapes, we need the piece of blue, one of the pieces of this dark blue paper is in our die cutting and background papers. So let's get that out. This is a beautiful paper with a white core. And we're going to use that white core to our advantage. I do love the way that when you tear your papers, you get kind of a rustic finish to them. A lot of times when I'm going to tear a paper, I'll start by just taking it off of the background that I'm using, because it's just easier to handle. And when you tear paper, if you tear towards yourself, the white core will show. If I tear away from myself, it usually doesn't. That did just because I was trying to illustrate something. But if you tear away from yourself, you get very little. If you tear towards yourself, you get a wider tear. And I'm wanting to create something that I can use around the seagull. So I'm going to tear the other side. I don't want a nice straight line, guys. I actually want it to be kind of crooked and jaggedy and rustic. Those of you out there who would try to make it perfectly square, I want you to let your inhibitions go and pull that paper towards yourself. Now, if I end up getting more than I want, I can always trim this down a little bit. That was kind of a little more than I wanted with the rustic stuff, but I'm going to keep tearing it until I get something that is big enough to go behind my topper and not too big to that it's going to cover up all of my background because I got pretty background going to do. So I want my finished piece to be just about that size, just a little bigger than my window, and my window can actually go up on that torn part a little bit too if I want to. And I'll look at it here and say, is it covering too much? And I don't think it is. And here's one example, here's a second example. They're going to turn out a little differently every time you tear paper because you don't have a whole lot of control over how the paper decides to tear, but that's actually part of the charm of it. So we'll tear that paper, and then I liked the idea, since I have all of this going here, to put a sailboat on what could be considered to be a wave down here. So I got one of my little sailboats out. I'm going to color mine because I have the need to do that. I'm going to try the sweet apricot. Yeah, that's a good color. And I'm just going to color mine with a glitter marker here. Make my post up the center. I'm going to color my sails in a light blue. That one that I just used was sweet apricot. This one is Athenian blue, which is a nice color with it complements the other colors in our card. For the sails, this glitter does not dry instantly, but it does dry very, very quickly. So I have a little glitter on my finger where I'm holding it, where I just did it, but that's okay. So I got my little sailboat colored, and I'm going to want to position my sailboat on the waves here. Isn't that kind of cute?
Could you answer Kim's question?
Kim's question. How many sheets are in this set? How many sheets of what? Background paper or punch-out sheets? We have 4 sheets of punch-out sheets, so we'll make a total of 12 toppers. And we have 4 background papers that are included in a kit, which could make as many as 16 cards, depending in this A6 European A6 size. And then the half sheets of 12 by 12, I just put in as many as we needed to cover the card samples that I made for you. So I'm not sure what that is.
Maria asked, what paper did you use under the porthole?
What paper did I use under the porthole? The porthole does have a background image with a sailboat. You see that? And then this blue is what I'm putting under the porthole. I'm sorry, I'll slow down. Thank you, Maria. Okay, what I have under the porthole is my blue torn paper that we just tore. And then behind that, we have our nautical paper. So I'm going to just hang out here for a minute and let you guys catch up. I actually think I might tear this down just a little bit more while I'm waiting here, because I think it's just a little bit wide. So thanks for pointing out that I missed a question there, honey. What's he doing?
Sleeping.
You're gonna get a little sneak peek at Ted here while we're waiting. Oh, look at it. He said, crafting's exhausting. It's just exhausting. I see my messy floor where I was die cutting last night and I haven't swept it up to you. Okay. So when you're ready, the next thing that we will do is we're going to put this torn blue paper down to our paper. I'm just going to use my finger lift. You could use glue here if you wanted to. I'm just going to use just a couple pieces of tear tape. It's going to be fine. This week, when you guys see What's New Wednesday this week, Teddy was just a clown. We were filming What's New Wednesday, and Teddy decided to go get one of his favorite toys, which was an empty pop bottle, and run it around while and leap on it and crunch it while Brittany was talking. We finally had to take his pop bottle away from him. Yes, we're mean parents, mean puppy parents. And so we took his pop bottle away from him, and after a few minutes he was bored and he wanted to be held, so he came over and he crawled up in my lap. I was sitting just to the front and the left of Brittany's table as Brittany was behind the table talking, and Teddy kept sticking his nose up there further and further and further until he had his nose in the picture, just his nose. He's such a clown, guys, I gotta tell you. That is the funniest puppy. Oh, maybe I'm easily entertained, but... Kim R. asks, is there a section in our store where these kits are found? I don't know the name of the kit. Yes. Right now, these kits are located in a folder called Live Stream Classes. It's at almost the very top one. Brits Bargains is first, and there's Brits Bargains. There is the new in category, and then there's Live Stream. What's it called? Live Stream.
Live Stream Work Along Class Kits.
Live Stream Work Along Class Kits. It's towards the top of the categories in our store. And the once a class has happened, I wait a day or two for this, but once a class has happened, I move it to the next category down, which is class kits to accompany videos. I just glued my porthole down, guys, while we were talking. Class kits to accompany videos is out there too. What?
It's called Kits That Match Past YouTube Videos.
Okay. Bryce corrected me. It's called Kits That Match Past YouTube Videos. So it's just a few too many to dump everything in one folder, because I want you guys to see what's coming up as an actual live stream class. So I keep the live stream upcoming classes separate from the past classes. But this kit, if we still have them, as of the last night, we still had about 2 or 3 of them left, I think. But this kit was an excellent value, because if you add up the retail of everything in it, it was worth about $8 more than the price of the class. So I try to make the class kits a good value for you, but it's not an extraordinary expense just to go in and get the things you want to. So that's nice. And now with the addition of that beach category, you can find all of these things, and you'll actually find some things that we didn't use that are equally cool. Thank you, Alice. We try really hard to make our kits a good value, and it's just kind of nice when you're working along with somebody else just to have everything, virtually everything. I don't put the supplies we use every week, like your scissors and tape and glue, I don't put those in, but I do try to put everything else that I think we're going to use into the kit so that it's easy and convenient for you. We try. I just colored my ship's wheel. If you don't color them, they actually still look really cute, because they are laser cut. They kind of have that two-tone bit going on, so they're really cute still, but I enjoy coloring, so I have to do it, guys. I just had to. So this one I colored with fired brick, in case you're keeping track. Okay. How we doing, Maria, Lisa, Laura, Eddie? Did everybody get your kits on time? Sandy, everybody doing okay? Yeah, I agree, Mary. It's really kind of nice just to be able to pull it out for the class and just know you have everything and not have to scurry about. Okay, there we go. See, I've got my sailboat kind of catching a wave. It could go either way, but I think that's really cute just to have that little sailboat. Hello, Pam. Welcome to you. You can just jump in with the next card. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. And you can always go back and watch the video to pick up the first couple. So, how's everybody doing? Well, I list some of the other supplies for the Midnight Butterflies since you jumped the gun. And you didn't jump the gun. I'm just really delinquent in getting that kit out. But yes, I will list the other supplies separately so that you can, so that you can pick up what you'll need to do the class, Alice. I will absolutely do that for you. Okay. You betcha. All right. So I'm going to give you guys a second because I don't want to go too fast because that's frustrating and I don't want to frustrate you. I want this to be like great fun time. No frustration. Here's our two samples, the original one and a second one. So you can see that the way that paper tears really changes the appearance of the card, but it's cute no matter how the paper tears. So I think this was a fun one. Next up, and I'm not rushing you, I'm taking my time. We are going to look at, just so those of you who are ready to do it, ready to move forward, can kind of gather your thoughts and your supplies, this will be the next one we do. We're going to be doing one of the seagulls. We're going to be using pretty much everything. We'll use a brad, we'll use our baker's twine, we'll use our dye, we'll use our stolen anchor. We sold this out of the last one, remember? We used 3 layers of the 4 layers available on our punch-out sheet, and we stole the anchor. Why? Because I wanted something a little bit bigger than my tiny pieces, and that was just right, and it didn't take anything away from the image to steal that. So I'm going to get my die cutter over here. So let me bring that in. I'm using our Cut and Go Pro. This is a hefty little machine. It's not particularly heavy. It's reasonable to carry around, and it's affordably priced, especially if you get it in our store. It's very affordably priced. And we have replacement plates available. When you buy the machine, I give you an extra set of the bee cutting plates right along with the machine. And the thing that I think I appreciate most about this, especially as I get older, I do have an electric machine too, but it's really, it's big and heavy to haft around. And I like the fact that this has a really, really easy action. It's not like I'm having to crank it. It's really, really easy action on this. So I'm getting my lighter brown paper out of my supplies pack that we sent you. I'm going to retrieve my die. I love this die. I said that before, but I really, really love this die. It is cool. I put so much tape on the back of these. I always have to really pull to get it loose. Don't know why I didn't just use the one I already had, because it was, oops, because this was here in my basket. Now I have two in the shop. Oops. You'd think with a big shop like this that I'd have room for everything, but I actually have to begin behaving myself, as even though I have this nice big room to work in now, I have really accumulated stuff in here since we started doing our classes. It's pretty amazing. So there may come a time when I have to make choices of supplies, and that would be terrible, because I pretty much think I need them all. Okay, you will notice on this paper that I included that one side's rough, the other side's smooth. Doesn't matter which side you use for this purpose. I'm going to use the rougher side because my rope in the net would be rough, but it doesn't really matter at all. Nobody's really going to know that but you. I'm going to go ahead and cut off my cardstock here so I don't waste any of it. And I always think for myself anyway, it's a good idea to take my die down. I'm going to do that. I strongly recommend, I couldn't recommend any more strongly, if you're cutting more than one thing at a time, always, always, always tape your dies down, because dies are tough. There's not a whole lot you can do to them that's going to hurt them, except one of the things you can do to your die that will hurt it is run more than one die through, let those things layer up inside your machine, and you have the ability to be able to damage your dies because they're cutting each other. So don't do that. If you're cutting more than one thing at a time, which you certainly can do to save labor, and I'm all in favor of that, always tape your dies down if you're using more than one die in a machine. Okay, I'm going to roll it through. I'm going to roll it back. That die is amazing, and Kim, that die is included in the kit. Isn't that crazy? Yes, Laura, I put the textured side of the paper toward the die. So the die is cutting down through the textured side. The truth is you could flip it over on the other side to be textured anyway, so it doesn't really matter in this case. You see I'm putting it through a couple times. Why am I doing that? It's not because my die cutter isn't great. My die cutter is great. I'm doing that because this is a particularly detailed die with all those little holes. And it certainly won't hurt to do it while I'm doing it. Okie dokie. Unfortunately, Mary, when I tell you that you can damage your dies, that was the voice of experience. You know, this didn't cut through still. And that's because it wanted to be shimmed. Oh, no, it's not. What did I do? Yeah, it wanted to be shimmed. So I'm actually going to be matching this up with my die again and putting it through with the shim. Can you grab me one of those metal shims, huh? I could put a couple layers of cardstock. This machine happens to include a metal shim. So I'm going to put that right in my sandwich. On the die cutting table. Or there's a box for the dies with the cut in the pro if you can find that. Yes, it is possible to damage a die. Been there, done that. Unfortunately. These plates, these bead plates do work over time. Thank you, honey. They do work over time. And I just keep using them anyway for as long as I possibly can. But they will work less if you make a point. And this is with any of your die cutting machines. Your plates will warp less if every time you use them, you flip them back and forth like you're flipping a mattress. Go back and forth and up and down and just keep cutting at different angles. And that's a good way to control the amount of warp that you get in your plates. Not that you won't eventually get it anyway. And candidly, that's one reason why I'm giving you an extra set of B plates, because these plates are pretty thin, and so they warp fairly quickly as plates go. But if you turn your plates and you just do good plate maintenance doing that. I have not tried this yet, but I may try it. I have heard that you can heat these plates with a heat gun and kind of bend them back too. I'm going to try that. I haven't tried it, so I don't know if it works. I just was told that, and I thought, well, I have a heat gun. I should try it. So, a little firmer push this time, because it's got that metal shim in there. Ran it twice, let's see what we get. Now that's what I'm talking about. That's what I wanted to see. Looky there. All those holes popping out. You know, when you run highly detailed dice, you gotta be a little patient, because, you know, it's just a lot of stuff to cut out. Had I still had problems, and that can happen. Had I still had problems, I know the die is good, but I may have had to go yet again, and then I would put a piece of cardstock in my sandwich right in the trouble area. And if it still didn't do what I wanted, I put 2 pieces of cardstock right over the trouble area to add a little more volume. This little brush that I'm using is, they make these in lots of different brands. This one happens to be Nautical. I'll show you what I like about this one. It's one of my favorite tools now, because it has a hokey tool in the handle. And I just think that's convenient. Well, they last for this Cut and Go Pro, and for those of you who have this machine, I know several people have bought it. Well, at last I have both the replacement cutting plates, and I actually have the little bit heavier C plate replacement too. They're kind of spendy, but so it's good to just take care of it to begin with. But if you do have to replace it, I have a few of those. So I'm just taking out extra little things. I presume everybody else is die cutting too, so I'm sure you're doing the same things I'm doing. Some of you may just be watching, and if this part's boring, I'm sorry. But we're working along today, so we're kind of working at a leisurely Saturday pace, right? Hello, Betty McSorley. Oh, fun. I love it. Do you see Betty's idea there, guys? Use this die to cut tissue paper to make a more flexible net. I love that. You can also use cheesecloth to make a net, and then color it to make it more realistic. I love it. Look at you. Okay, I'm glad to forget. I'm so glad you got one while we still have them, Kim, because as soon as this video posts, that what tends to happen with the glass kits is some of the more popular ones like this one, they just tend to disappear pretty quickly. So I'm glad you got one. It is a cool tool. I like it a lot. And then it also has, it's got 2 tools inside it. It also has, oops, that's the same tool. Let's try that again. It also has a little lifter, you know, to get in under when you're trying to get the dye off the paper. So it's good. It's a pretty cool tool. And now I can't seem to get the point I want. So I'm still taking my little whatnots out, but I'm just about there. How you guys doing? You getting your nets cut? How do we find this tool in a store? It's going to be under, it's in Nautical, and it's called, does he tell me the name? No, they don't tell me the name because that would be too convenient. They just put an H on it. I'll link it. Let me link it for you. Not terribly expensive, very, very useful. You can also use this. This one didn't stick in, but you can also use this to clean your dies out. You know, when you get all those little pieces of paper left in your die, you can get rid of them. And you've also seen me do this. And that's the other way I clean my dies. And that just gives people heart palpitations sometimes when they see me do that. But if you've got really good dies, like these Find It Trading dies, or tattered lace dies, some of the cheaper brands would want to do that because they will bend. But most of the dies we sell, you can smack them right against the table and clean all this stuff out in one go. And I do that. Another quick way to get your item, and I didn't do this today, but another quick way you can use to be able to get right with your project faster and not spend as much time picking all the little pieces out is to use die release paper. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. We also sell that in the store. Die release paper is a little sheet of, it's kind of somewhere, it's almost a high grade of vellum, parchment paper, or maybe even, it's not waxy, but it kind of has the weight of wax paper, and you put it between your die and your paper. And what that die release paper does is it makes it really quick to pop out all these little things. And if you happen to have a pesky die, ever have a die where the paper wants to stick inside the die? I hate that. But if you have a particularly pesky die where the paper's wanting to stick inside, sometimes that paper's all you need to get that to release better. It's very, very inexpensive. It's about $5 a box, and you get 2 huge rolls in a box. It'll go a long, long, long ways. But it's called die release paper, and that can be good. Okay, I got my net. How about you guys? You guys got your nets ready to go? Clean up my paper crumbs a little bit. Store these back in my machine. Set that off to the side. Okay. Garbage can here and sweep all this off. Looks like sand. Perfect component for our beachy theme today. Okie dokie. You ever been to a beach where they have little pebbles instead of sand? I saw that in Mexico.
Hunky Dory Premier 3-in-1 dye brush.
Could you hear that?
19.
It was called a Hunky Dory Premier 3-in-1 dye brush. The number, you could just put this number in Alice in the store and it'll pop up. It's P as in Paul, C as in Charles, T as in Thomas, 19. Thank you, Bryce. And just for the heck of it, does it tell us the price? Yeah, it's $12.49, just in case you're interested in the price. I make confetti, yeah. When Bryce and I went to Mexico, one of the beaches we went to there had little pebbles as opposed to sand. It was pebble. It wasn't rocks. They were the size of these. The size of these little things that just popped out. They were little tiny. It was kind of an interesting feeling on your feet. It didn't hurt. It just was an interesting feeling. Okay, where's our card we're doing? Here we are. Okay, we're we're going to cover our card with blue paper. So look for your, we didn't use our pattern paper on this one. Or we could have, but we didn't. We just put in a piece of blue paper. Mine's slightly different. I'm not worried about that. Sometimes when making these kits, I have to get a little creative in my paper stash to find PCT 19. I believe that's correct, Alice. Okay, put my 3 rows of tape on. Rub that tape down so it'll stay down when I peel my paper. Grab my ends. Now let's see, it doesn't want to release, so I'm going to tear it in the center and pull back both directions to expose my adhesive. And some people have said to me, I don't know that I want to use tape because I don't want to have to peel all the paper. When I use a tape runner, I don't have to. Yeah, you kind of get used to it. It's very fast. It's really not problematic. Okay, I'm going to put my paper down, making sure that I catch the fold of my card well. And I'm going to... Excuse me?
Speak up. You're mumbling.
Oh, speak up. Okay, thank you. Sometimes I start looking down and talking and I don't realize I'm not speaking up, so I ask Grace to help me with that. He's helping. Okay. And catch the fold of your paper, flip it over, trim it up from the back, and we've got a nicely covered card. Now, you're going to notice very quickly that our net is bigger than our paper. But that's cool, because that's going to allow us to tear our net. I just tore the bottom off and then I layered it back up on there so it looks like it's just kind of sloped down and in a bunch at the bottom, which is perfect, really, isn't it? I'm going to get my baker's twine out here. I'm going to use a nice sized piece of baker's twine. You have plenty of baker's twine for the projects that we're doing today. I think I gave you 6 feet, and for the amount that were roughly 6 feet, I'll tell you I measured it like this. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the end of my baker's twine. Just a little bit. And I'm going to create myself a needle to wind in and out of my net, because that's so much easier. So I've just put a little bit of glue on there, and then I rub it with my finger, and then it just stiffens it up a little bit and holds all the fibers together. And I know I'm not going to need all of that, so I'm going to cut my twine about there, set the rest aside. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go in and out through these holes at the top of my net and I'm going to attach my rope to my net. It's a quick and easy process. It's not real tedious, but I just want to wind these in and out. Now you'll notice that some of these little holes are plenty big for that, and some of the little holes just don't want to do it. Just skip the ones that are too small. We're creating an impression. We're not being perfect in our winding in and out. All we're doing is just creating an impression that the rope is attached to the net. So I'm just going to go up and down here, and I'm just going to casually... Hello, Jordan! My daughter just tuned in. How's things in Connecticut? Okay. And we're winding in and out. We're just winding across there. So just skip them if they're small, doesn't want to go through, don't worry about that. Just wind them in and out. See, you have some holes in your net. That's normal. That's supposed to be there. They made the dye that way. Don't worry if there's little holes in your net.
425.
Okay. We're on our third card, so I think we're doing fine. Thank you for the time check, though. Annette, hi. Welcome. So we're just winding that thread in and out. It takes a minute. But I do like the effect. There's a little piece of paper I didn't pop out. I'll pop that out while I'm here.
Maria has a way to get those out.
I accidentally found a great way to get the pieces out. Run 2 pieces of paper through and pull them apart. One will have all the pieces pressed up. What a good idea, Maria. I like that. I've also heard running it through with a dryer sheet, and a dryer sheet will, that used dryer sheet, not a new one, but the used dryer sheet will grab all the little pieces, the fibers in the dryer sheet. I haven't tried it, but I've heard that's good. I have some dryer sheets in here, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But I have heard that works. And every time I do something detailed like this and somebody makes us recommendations, I think, yeah, why didn't I try that? But that's a great suggestion. I love it. I love your suggestions and your ideas, guys. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. That's good. Okay, I've got my net roped. Okay, got my little ins and outs here. I think I actually, did I leave enough room? I think I actually need a little bit more rope on the right side. I kind of overdid it. So I'm going to wind a little bit of my rope back over to the right. I don't get panicky about things, I just fix them. I sure enjoy the time I spend with you guys on Saturdays. It's great fun for me too. It's nice to be able to hang out with friends, even when we can't have company over. Not a lot of company anyway, we can still hang out together, have a good time. Okay, now, I do have a tip for you today that I picked up from watching, actually I think I was watching the Create and Craft channel, and I was watching the person there dealing with her detail dyes. And, you know, when you have something like this and the pattern is so open and the areas to glue on are so small, it's nice if you can do it in a way that you don't get glue all over the place. Now, if you get a little glue showing on here, you know, I'm not real panicky about that because the glue might be a little bit shiny, but so's the water on the net. You know, that's how I'd look at that. But she did something interesting. She put her glue on her finger, and I thought this was kind of a cool idea, so I tried it, and it does work. Or you can do it on your craft mat, either way you want. I don't care about getting messy. She kind of smoothed it out a little bit, and then she dipped it. In the glue on her finger. And she didn't get a whole lot of excess glue coming off. You can also do it on your craft mat if that's just too messy for your taste in life. I don't care about getting messy. I get messy in every project I do. I mean, after all, you guys watched me paint and glitter. And it was just the time of my life. I do think I'll try it on the mat just to see how it works for some of these bigger areas, though. So, I'm going to take my little cap off. I'm going to squeeze a little bit of my glue out onto my mat. I'm going to spread that around in a thin coat. So it's not squeezing up through everything. Nice thin coat. And then I'm going to dip it. Now, with my needle nose glue bottle, I'm also probably going to go along here, along this edge where it's thicker, and I'm gonna give myself a nice line along that edge too, but I'm gonna dip my net. And see, I'm not getting a light coming through. I do have a couple places there. Let me use my little blade to kind of pop those bubbles so I don't have that showing there. But you can see what I'm doing. I just literally took my needle tool and popped the bubbles. And I get a pretty good coat on the back. I'm going to set this down and I'm going to try and get it in the right place to start with, because if I move it, I am going to get lots of glue showing. So I'm going to try and get it where I want it to begin with, and I'm going to leave it alone. And I'm going to just press that down. Sticky specks, yes, another good way to go. I have sticky specks in the store too, for those of you who want to. Actually, I'm going to leave that puddle of glue there for a second, because I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue my other piece here. And see what I mean by I've got a couple of areas where it's inside there. I'm just going to take my tool and pop those little bubbles. And then it's not going to glue. It's not going to show the glue there. And I'm going to lay my mat down over the top of the other one. And I now have a bunched up net, which is kind of cool. Okay. I am going to get out my punch-out sheet again, and I'm going to take out that piece that we saved, or stole, as the case may be, from that first image. I want to take that anchor and compass out. Now when you look in a store, one of the things that I just brought in is the wood shapes that I got to replace the boxes that you guys have. Are bigger, and they actually have a large anchor and a large compass and a lighthouse and a ship's wheel the lighthouse is like 2 inches long and a ½ inch wide, and the compass I think is like 1.25 inches, and this anchor is like 1 inch, 1.5 inches, so it's pretty close to the size. So had I had those when I did my designs, I might not have had to steal these. But stealing this works too. I'm going to punch up my opening here. How's everybody doing? City, could you have could I have rolled the bottom? Absolutely, why not? I think it would hold. Put enough glue on it's going to hold. Yeah. I do like the whole idea of having it rolled or wadded up or something, because it's just a little bit more realistic, and it's kind of making double use of our dye, which is kind of cool. Okay, so I've got this anchor piece that I saved. I'm going to wind that anchor through here. And I'm going to create my little loop above it that I did there in the rope. Create a little loop in a rope there, just for interest, dimension. Everything doesn't want to cooperate real well right this second, just because I'm on camera. I'm going to create a little nice round there above my anchor. I'm going to pull my anchor over to the side. I've got my little loop, and I'll be putting some glue on that, but I want to lay my card out first. And we didn't build this 3D yet, did we? I guess we got to do that next. Alright, let's see, where's that 3D sheet? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I think I only stole things from the other pieces just a time or two. I'll show you the other one I thought was worthy of stealing. See that anchor there? That's a good one. Or you could go ahead and use it on your image and pick up some of the larger wooden pieces. But the bell, the anchor, you could steal some of those pieces without really impacting the look of that image at all. And I'm looking for the sailboat sheet. I didn't steal too many of them, but I did really want that piece there, so I did steal that. What did I do for those 3 pieces? They're there. Okay. Let's see. We're doing the sailboat. Yes, Don wants to know, will I hold the sample card up so you can see things close up? Yep. Teddy just got his pop bottle up, guys. So if you hear a crunchy, terrible sound, like too far off camera, go back a little bit so you can see this side better. There we go. Thank you. I like it too. I had great fun making these. I really, really did. This was a real fun group of materials to use. Okay, I'm going to build my 3D image for this one. Pop out my seagull. Pop out my sailboat with the whatever you call that post in front. The seagull sitting on it. Piling? Piling. Thank you. I knew there was a word for it. It just escaped me. Yeah, I think these are great fun. These cards are just real fun to make. And they're not terribly time consuming either. You know, we've been at it for a little less than 2 hours. We're finishing our 3rd card. And we've done other stuff too. You know, we've looked at other stuff. We've talked about other things. So, it's not a horribly time consuming process. It's fun, easy, and they look so good when you're done with them. I mean, who isn't going to love getting one of these cards from you, really? Almost everybody loves the beach. I love the beach. Several years ago, I tried to convince Bryce that we should buy a house at the beach, and we should. Well, hello, Lee Merritt. Welcome from Australia. I tried to convince him we should buy a house at the beach and open a bed and breakfast as a retirement thing. Because especially since he cooks so well, he says, not on your life. You know, why not? He said, because when I retire, I'm not cooking for everybody. When I retire, I'm going to be retired. Okie dokie. He made that one really clear. The beach house, not such a bad idea. They ever found one that was affordable, which is really a rarity. But no, there will be no bed and breakfast in our future. Sorry, guys. You just have to hear me talk about how well he cooks. The Crafty Friends group that meets here locally, when we get back to that, which someday I hope will happen soon, they can tell you what kind of cook Bryce is, because he's forever fixing nice little things and popping out here with a treat for everybody. It's not unusual when we were having craft class for him to show up with a loaf of hot bread out of the oven and butter and jam. Oh man. Or some other treat. Never know. Kim R, do you have pictures of the cards that you're making so they can be accessed later? Yes. We are also going to show examples of all of the cards in the kit. We'll just take a run through and we will hold on each frame for a few minutes. So if you want to make these later, you can replay this video and you can stop on each card while you make that card. So yes, we are going to have you all taken care of so that you'll be able to see all the card samples as you're finishing yours. The primary techniques I wanted to show you today, there's a few things I want to show you even still as we go through those card samples, so we'll do that. But the primary things that I wanted to make sure we covered today were tearing the paper, because I told you we'd do that. I wanted to cover some cards for those who are newer, and that might be a good card technique for you. I wanted to show you how we wound the rope through the net and how we tore the net to get that extra texture. I wanted to talk about stealing pieces from some of the bigger items that we could use, especially this one where I actually used the elements separately. I wanted to be sure and show you that. So I think we're largely accomplishing our goals. I wanted to talk about coloring your wood shapes in whatever way you want to color them. So I think we're largely accomplishing our objectives. Although I'm always just a little bit sad when our time together ends, because it's awfully fun to spend time with you guys. So how we doing? We get layered up here? Not ready to put this on? Did you guys give up on working with me? I hope I didn't work too fast. I tried to control myself. Sometimes there's no controlling me, guys. Ask Bryce. I just looked over at Bryce, just gave me a yep, that would be true. Oh dear. There's a few pictures of these cards in the listing on the web page too, if you want some more close-ups. When you review all of the other samples, will you let us know when you use the Captain's wheelbreads? Yes, we're going to, oops, I actually kind of screwed up because we're going to use one of them on this card. When I say I screwed up because I should have theoretically should have put the bread down through the net before I glued the net down, but hey. Just finished getting the net cleaned out. Need that brush, yes. Yes. It's got a lot of holes in it, but man, this dye is worth it. It really is. It's a cool dye. And like I said, besides nautical scenes, I think there's other uses for this in garden scenes and one thing and another. You know, I don't know how many of you put net up when you're planting your garden for something for the, you know, the trailing vines to climb up. Net can be really good, so you can use it in like your net and enjoy watching the live stream with everyone. I appreciate you sharing inspiration. Well, it's my pleasure, truly. Every Saturday, we're here every Saturday, Kim. Next week, we're building a barbecue. A three-dimensional barbecue using a design from Dream and Tree SVDs. And, okay, I just finished assembling my 3D with my seagull. I'm going to put it here. You will note that I'm capturing the end of my rope in my glue there. So I'm capturing that, and that's what's holding down the end of my rope there. I'm going to take a little bit of glue, and I'm going to put under my rope here. I found it was easier really to decide where I wanted everything to go, and then to come in with my needle nose glue bottle afterwards. You might find a different technique works for you. This is what I did. but I came in with my needle nose glue bottle after the fact and glued my components down where I want them. That rope will stop moving as much once I get this anchor put in place. So I've got my anchor and my compass, and I'm just putting a little glue on the back of those to hold those where I want them. And then I can kind of push my rope back into my glue a little bit, and everything's holding nicely there now. See that? Now, you asked about the bread. Find your bread. Let's see, find your bread. I used the lighter brown bread. You could use either one. One's just more weathered looking than the other one, so it just depends on which one you like. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can go either way you want. But what I did in my sample, and I was remiss in gluing this down first, but it's fine. What I did in my sample was to put this bread through the net before I glued the net down. Well, of course I goofed and I didn't do that. So now what I'm going to do is to glue my bread on, which is fine. It kind of defeats the purpose of it being a bread, doesn't it? But it's not a tragedy. I can either cut my ends off, which I just did and with some success. I'm going to push it down so that it's entirely flat. And I'm just going to put some glue on it. But if you're not constructing now and you do this later, put that bread through your net and close the legs before you glue that net on, because that would have been the smart thing to do. I've never promised I'm always smart. Once in a while I'm smart, but just as often I'm goofy. But what's life, you know? What's life without a few little side roads and adventures? Teddy got his pop bottle out again. Bryce is just retrieving it. I've never seen a dog. You know, you spend all this money on... Oh yeah, great idea, Sandy. Using the net as a honeycomb. That's a great idea. I've never seen a dog. Yes, I used all 4 layers, Laura. I've never seen a dog more crazy about pop bottles than this dog. We spent all this money on toys, but you know what he plays with? An empty Coke bottle. That's what he wants. He's a nuts little dog. I totally love him. You probably figured that out though, didn't you? I'm going to take my leftover yarn, unless there's too much of it. If you have too much, go ahead and feel free to clip it off. But I'm just going to wind up my rope. And I'm going to glue my rope down. And there's nothing fancy about what I did. I just put a generous amount of glue on the back of the rope and stuck all the pieces there. Yeah, Alice, that's exactly it. Although now Teddy has decided if often I'll set my pop bottle next to my chair, because I drink way too much pop. Anybody that hangs around with me will tell you I drink way too much Diet Coke. I love it. But I leave my pop bottle next to the chair, and Teddy has decided now that he doesn't want to wait until they're empty. He will attempt to steal an almost full, or really at any stage of emptying the bottle, he will try to steal the pop bottle. A little ruffian. And if you carry the bottle through the house, he will try to take the bottle out of your hand as you're walking, because again, he's a little ruffian. My rope, see how it kind of comes down in a straight line? I don't like that. I want it to kind of tuck in and out more naturally. So I'm going to put a little glue here, and then I'm going to hold it in place to make that rope kind of go along the side of my net rather than just being kind of out there coming down the card. I think that looks better. And I did get a little glue on my card. You might see it was a little bit shiny. like I said before, I'm not going to sweat that because these nets are wet. Or sometimes they're wet. If you lived in Oregon, your nets would always be wet. Because at the coast, it's almost always raining. It's an absolutely beautiful coastline. Now, if you haven't had a chance to visit Oregon, come and check out our beaches sometimes. Don't plan on getting a tan while you're here. Oregonians don't tan, we rust. But, yes, Alice, I absolutely have to keep the cap on the bottle. Oh, and he spilled the pop everywhere. So I thought this was a Teddy thing, but it's not. Other dogs like that too. Now, Amy, my little schnauzer, she wouldn't have even considered that. You know, Amy was just kind of the most prissy and well-behaved little thing. She never would have considered doing something like stealing a bottle. She would consider that impolite. But Teddy, boy, all the bets are off. He's going to take what he wants and go for it. Now this one, I didn't color that shell at all. I just thought that light colored shell just looked really pretty with this. So I'm going to glue this down, and I'm not going to color this one. I like the light color there. Color them if you want to, use them as they are, whatever you decide to do. There's still room even out here to put a little tag if you wanted to. Almost all these cards have some place you can put a sentiment if you chose to do so. If you choose not to, I think it looks just fine. You could always put another one of your little shapes up in the net if you wanted to. But I think that's just cute as all get out. So we've made our 3 cards today. Let's kind of recap and look at what we've done, and then we're going to look at the samples for the other cards. I don't want to set my cards down. You guys enjoying that craft mat that you got for the glitter? I've kept mine out all the time. I'm really finding it useful to just be able to work on there, put glue on it, put paint on it, do whatever I'm doing, and then wipe it right off. I am enjoying that. I hope you guys are enjoying those mats that were included in our glitter kit. All right, let's see. Hi, Lee. All right. Oh, a brush and glue that loves to fetch. A pipe cleaner. Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, Mary, we don't tan, we rust because it rains all the time here. But our coastline is beautiful and rocky and jagged in places, and yet they're still nice. If it does happen to be sunshiny, which is the rarity, but if it does happen to be sunshiny, beautiful walking beaches and great place to fly a kite. But you're not going to get a tan most of the time. Not going to get a tan in Oregon. So here's our original and our remake. Slightly different because they will be, but that's part of the beauty, isn't it? So we've done this one, and I think we've focused enough on this one that you guys probably have a really good image. I'll hold it here for a second so that you can snap a picture out of your video if you choose to do so. Am I too high? I'm going to come down a little bit. If you just want to freeze your frame and make your card, if you haven't made it already, you can do that. So that's the one we just made. Okay, let's recap and look at our other 2 because we had quite a few people who came in later and I don't want to skip these. This was our second card today. I'm too high again? Okay. And when we built this 3D piece, I kept one of the anchors and the compass out, and that's what we just used on that 3rd card. So it had 4 pieces, we used 3, and I kept 1. Now down here where we have the torn paper technique, remember you pull the paper towards you and you'll expose the core of the paper. This is a white core paper, so we get this nice kind of wave foam kind of look around our blue, which is pretty. And I put my little wooden boat down here, kind of crusting that wave in the white paper. You got a ship's wheel up here. I didn't include markers in yours, but I colored mine with glitter markers. You can color them with alcohol markers, with watercolor markers, with anything that suits your fancy. You could paint on them. Whatever you want to do. You have a really good supply of those. With 45 pieces in that kit. And I think 45 pieces, and we, in our samples, we'll use maybe half. So you have plenty of shapes to keep going if you want to just get some more punch-out sheets and background sheets. You can have more background paper than you need to. Here was our seagull. Let me get my finger out of it. If you want to get a close-up of the card itself. And I don't know what it is about the seagull. I just love him. I left plenty of room at the top for sentiment. But I just think this is just charming. I don't know why, it just speaks to me. So we got the seagull. Okay, let's look at that. Here's our turtle. Now with the turtle, I've taken my A6 card, I've covered it in dark brown cardstock. You have that in your kit. I've constructed my 3D turtle using all the pieces. I took just one corner out of this background paper, cut it down a little smaller so I could have my brown border around it, and I didn't do anything else to it because candidly I think it's beautiful just like it is. I just didn't want to mess with it any further. I liked it just the way it was. Plenty of room up there in the sky for a sentiment. Okay. Alright, here's one that I did something a little bit different. Okay, this time I actually used two pieces of my background paper. First I covered my card in my dark brown cardstock because I just wanted a layer there. Then I used one of my water pieces and I used one of my beach pieces, so I actually used two of my A6 toppers here. I laid down my sand and then I tore my water piece and I exposed the white core. So I created a foamy line. I exposed a foamy line and I put that up against my beach, just as if you have that white line that comes up on the beach. And then I tore it again and I created another white line and I put my little sailboat on that wave out there. And I just think that adds a really fun sense of dimension, and I don't know, I think it actually makes it look more real. So I constructed this piece with the seals using all of the push-outs. Used my little wooden starfish here. Isn't that fun how you can guys just kind of create that wavy sensation just by tearing a paper? Kim R said 2 weeks ago in the Dot and Do, you mentioned pop-out designs rather than meticulous cutting. What brand is that? We have a category for that in the store. Look for 3D push-outs. It's really towards the top, just kind of under the video supplies. You'll find a category that says 3D push-outs. And everything in that category is push-out designs, Kim. Push-out or pop-out designs, like what we're using here. Okay, let's see. Next one. Here's another one of our seagulls. These seagulls weren't actually part of the Maritime collection that was prepared by Amy Design, but I thought these seagulls just fit the theme so well that I pulled them in from another collection and used those. So this time I just covered my card with my background paper, made up my seagulls, and I did come down a little bit into the water. So see, I'm not getting quite as much as I could from my background papers because I wanted a little bit of the shoreline there. Because it didn't make sense to me that the seagulls would be they could actually be sitting on the water because they are on a pilot, but I just liked having a little bit close there in front of them, so I slid down my page just a little bit. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Here's my little starfish in the corner I've colored. Okay, next up. This is a really simple one, but I like the way it turned out. I used one of my pieces.
In Portland, it's 54 degrees Fahrenheit with rain.
Well, thank you, Alexa.
More of the same tonight.
Alexa, shut off. Alexa decided all of a sudden I needed a weather forecast for Portland. I'll cancel. Alexa, cancel.
Cloudy skies.
Alexa, cancel. I have technology I can't control, guys. I will not use her name in saying that she's just kind of running amok here. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so I used my water background, my 3D punch out of my dolphin there, and then I just took a little winding of my rope, ran it up and around, put a little anchor on it. Colored my anchor, colored my ship's wheel. There's a nice place for sentiment here in the middle. Isn't that cute? I just love it. Yes, she does. I'm not going to say her name again. But she really does have a mind of her own. Okay, here we go. Another torn paper technique. This time I used the water. I tore my blue paper, we've talked about that. Tore my blue paper to create a line around. I did think it was kind of fun. Oh, this is a place where my cards fell on the floor and Teddy just ran across the floor with it. Bryce caught him and retrieved it. This is another place where I stole a seagull off of one of the build-ups. There was a seagull just by herself, so I thought, why not? So I picked that off and I stuck it at the top. It is on a seagull sheet. I think I told you I used all the layers. I lied. I didn't, because that seagull was one of the pieces of 3D punch out. Then I just put this time I used one of my little seahorses and one of my shells at the bottom there. I think it's just cute as a button. I didn't get that up close enough for you. I'll get it a little closer. Am I centered?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you can stop there and make that one, or you can take a photo out. Here's another. This one is super simple, guys. I covered my background with my background sheet. I built a 3D image of the pier. I added it, and because of the birds in the sky and the ship, the sailboats in the background, I just thought it was charming just like that. I left it alone. What a perfect card for a guy, though. You have plenty of room up here for sentiment if you want to put one. Okay. We're almost done looking at samples. This is a rich kit. You get a lot. Okay. This is my very first one. If you look too close, you'll see some little shininess of glue because I was figuring out how to glue the nets and stuff. But that's okay. I'd like you to see I do it too. And our nets put down the same way. In fact, that design is very similar to the first one that we used. I didn't put the 4U in there in your kit, so if you're looking for that, it's not there. I was just trying to see if I had a sentiment sheet that I would like for this, and I ultimately abandoned that and thought I'm going to let you put your own sentiments on. I used a generous sized piece of rope on that one. This one has lots of the little wooden shapes. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the wooden shapes used on that one. And you can see they actually look great on there, so feel free to add more here and there if you think you'd like to do that. Okay, I hope I'm holding everything long enough for you. You guys tell me if I'm not. And here's our 11th design. Use the net again. This time I used a little piece of net. I still wound my rope through it, but because the card was kind of going the opposite direction, I tore my net just more narrowly. Got your anchor. Here's where I used the other brad, and leave it. 2 cards had fallen on the floor. Teddy was going to get the second one and carry it off because he's getting bored now and he says you guys aren't any fun. So I'm going to create my own fun. Watch me tear things up. Okay, so let's see. This is where I put the other rad though, and I put it through the net, and then I glued the net down. Okay. Now, this card is not in your set unless you bought the add-on. If you bought the add-on, and let me show you the add-on kit. I do still have a few of these. They sold out, but we remade more of them. Where's the add-on kit here? We do still have a few if you decide you want it. I know, you put it here, and I moved it. Because I do these things. It's here. So nice here. For heaven's sakes. Oh, here it is. Silver under my die cutter. There we go. This is the add-on kit. This is not included in your regular kit, but it is very, very affordably priced. In making this card that we're going to take a closer look at momentarily, I used one of the 12 images from your kit. This, you are not doing anything wrong if you get to the end of your regular kit and you have one more card that you have not made yet because the other image was used on this card. So, in your add-on kit, should you choose to get it, this die normally sells for it's what? $13? No, the add-on kit is $13. The die itself is like $15. But if you get the add-on kit, just because we were already doing this, I give you the add-on, or you have the extra die. This, by the way, can be more dimensional than the example that I'm going to show you. If you use your rubber mat, run it twice. Cut it once, then use your rubber mat and your die cutter and run it through again, and you can get an even more dimensional appearance. I gave you the sheet of Imperial Blue Mary that we used in our sample. I gave you the background brown paper. I gave you your paper tearing paper, your card, and your envelope, and even the little moon. And this is what we made using the extra die and a larger card. I didn't include this in the regular kit for 2 reasons. One is that not everybody wants to work with larger cards. This is a 6x6. And secondly, it was going to make your kit too, I once again, I'm trying to watch out for your budget so you guys could decide whether you wanted this. It's really, really pretty. It's really pretty, but but I wanted to offer it separately for those who liked it because it really is beautiful. You got your seagulls up here in the corner of this die. You've got the kind of French knot in the center, the sailor's knot, the ship's wheel. You've got a beautiful lighthouse down the side, shells down here, bottles, an oar, and a telescope, a little seagull here.
Cut those apart.
Some of those pieces actually, Bryce had a good question. He said, can you cut these apart and use these pieces individually? And the answer is yes, some of these are absolutely clippable. You can clip off that lighthouse very easily. You can clip off the ship's wheel quite easily. Now, some pieces are double use, so you're going to get either the lighthouse or the ship's wheel, for example. You can clip off that knot. You can clip off the anchor. You can clip off the oar. You can clip off the bottles. So you really can use those elements separately if you want to. This is our 12th image. We built this up. This is the one I said you could easily steal pieces from if you wanted, because they're very generous in the number of pieces you got for this. I put it down on a piece of torn paper, use that same torn paper technique. And when we did that, this was really white and it kind of looked like a cloudy sky. And Bryce said, you know what would really set that off? We need to put the moon behind it. The moon or the sun. And that's why you have the little yellow dot. And I think that just added everything to that. See how clever my guy is? He's very clever. So I think this turned out really, really pretty. And this is from your add-on kit. Am I centered there, honey? Too high.
Too high.
Too high. Let's come down. There we go. Okay. There you go. That's number 12. So that's the add-on. We have covered all 12 cards plus the add-on. Well, we covered 11 cards plus the add-on. We've talked about all the things that were on our agenda to talk about. Let's take a quick look once again at next week. Next week is our barbecue gift box. If you don't have it, we just made more. It opens up this way to show the barbecue flame, the grill, the utensils. So there's my barbecue table. And inside, you've got ample room, gift box for some shreds. Put some grilling spices in there. Makes an absolutely spectacular Father's Day present. Or you can give this like it's a host or hostess gift when you're going somewhere. Grandfathers, you know, anybody who likes to grill is going to think this is the coolest gift ever. The kit is $20. You're getting, with the kit, you're getting a 2-ounce glue bottle for use in the class. And some people are getting 3 and 4 of these guys. You know, if you think about, old, grown sons that like to grill, it's just a really, really, really neat gift. So we're doing this next week. Mine's missing one rhinestone here. Since last week I should have fixed it, but I didn't. Okay, the week after, as I said, we're going to do this. I just knocked this off a minute ago, but we're doing the Midnight Butterflies balloon kit. Have our acetate butterfly on there. We have our shaker card with the tiny butterflies. We have this Midnight Butterfly card, and then we have our dimensional card. That kit's going to be, it's $15. I believe it's available now. If it's not available yet, it will be very shortly, because I will make sure that's put up when I do today's newsletter. Any questions, comments, or pearls of wisdom before we cut it off for the day? As I've said before, I love hanging out with you guys, and I thank you so much for taking time out on your Saturday to hang out with us, and we really do appreciate our customers too. It's kind of a difficult time for small businesses out there, and your patronage means the world to us, so thank you. Yes, thank you, Alice. Please be sure you give me the thumbs up. If you think class was what you'd like it to be, and you enjoyed this and want to see more, please give us a thumbs up. Let me know that you're liking what you're seeing and you want to see more. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, think about doing that. That is going to make sure you never miss a video. And if you're not signed up for a newsletter, be sure you do that, because you'll get like a recap of today's video with a link to the video and all the things I told you I'm going to link you on. Don't miss that. As well as that, you get to find out what's new Wednesday, and you get to see what some of our specials are. You get the coupon codes, so don't miss that newsletter. It is worth having, and not just going to fill your mailbox with a bunch of junk. We give you good stuff in the newsletter. So Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for your comments. Be sure you do give us the thumbs up, and we will see you next week for the barbecue grill. And we'll be watching for the announcement regarding the new Stamping 101. Thanks, guys. Love you. Bye.